Hey Potentia, greetings. All right. Good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are. Hello, my name's Phil Gallagher, and I run Thraben University, a site dedicated to legacy death and taxes. I wanted to start off today by kind of talking just a little bit about how my event went in Richmond. So for those of you just like completely out of the loop, GP Richmond was this weekend. And I did pretty well. I ended up 59th at the GP out of I don't know, it was something like 850 people, somewhere thereabout. So that's a fine finish. So up here on the screen for you, I have sort of like the super abridged tournament report, right? And I'm gonna kind of skim over some of that because I'm gonna write an article later this week that goes over some of the more important details here. Um, but I do want to highlight a couple of things. First is that I have picked up a new sponsor. I am now sponsored by Cardboard Live. Uh, so if you're not familiar with it, you see there's this little kind of like purplish face thing on your screen. It's probably right around here on your screen. If you go and click on that, you will get a pop out of my deck list. And for any cards that you don't know, you can go and hover over those and take a look and see what they do. There's also some other great functionality here. So you can click on the little copy button to directly go and copy my deck list. Or you can go to the player's profile and check out the biography, which apparently I have not added on this one. So I will have to do that. Note to self, biography. Farish, I started like 30 seconds ago. You've missed nothing. I'm just talking about my new sponsor, Cardboard Live. So for anyone who doesn't know like what's going on with this is sort of like Wilson Hunter's current pet project. He's really trying to do something to make the streaming experience better on the end of viewers. So I am really excited to be involved with this project now. So I'm currently working on giving him feedback. And if you all have any questions about Cardboard Live at any time, feel free to go ahead and ask me, and I'll be happy to field them. As a streamer, I'm excited to use this, but I'm even more excited to see this sort of in action on tournaments. Because if you use this software to go and run a tournament, you can get deck lists for both players, and you can also get things incorporated in it like, player bios, standings, pairings, that sort of stuff. He's got some really ambitious things planned for this project, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. Not quite from the ground up, but from pretty early on. So Farish, spreadsheet template. Can you send me a message on maybe either Twitter or just a direct message here? I don't have I don't have the link to the blank spreadsheet available right now, but I'm very happy to share that with you. All right, anyway, so if you want the deck list, please click on the little Cardboard Live extension off to the left side of the screen. And by the way, if it is sort of in the way of something, you can drag that little box around the screen to somewhere else. So that's just kind of like one other nice little feature there. All right, so let's move on and let's talk about the deck list a little bit. So just so you don't have to have the Cardboard Live extension pulled up the entire time, I'm just going to give you another visual here while I'm talking about this. So, this is what I played in Richmond. This is deck list Ada, and I should say this is deck list Ada that I used in the week and a half prior to Richmond. So like I number with Greek letters: alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta. So this is iteration 7 in terms of tinkering that I did within like a week and a half before GP Richmond. So I just kind of want to talk about some generic things. Number 1, I made minor mana-based changes. I wanted more stability because there's so much wasteland in the format right now. So I moved up to a 24th land and down to 2 Caracas. I feel like there's very few things that I actually want to bounce with Caracas right now. And my Thalias aren't really living to be bounced with Caracas against like Grixis control anyway, which is like one of the main matchups where I'd want to bounce it. So I'm fine with that change. So everything else up to this slot is kind of stock. So here's a big thing that I was hedging for. Going into the event, I really thought that the Grixis decks and the Death Shadow decks were going to be the most popular decks there. I thought that if you wanted to play Control, you were going to play Grixis Control, and that if you were going to play Delver, you were either going to play Grixis Delver or Blue-Black Shadow, because Rogue Delver was putting up just like absolutely terrible numbers, sort of like immediately leading up to the event. Really and honestly, like post-banning, like Rogue just didn't feel good at all. So I'm running very little variation in terms of the main deck. I really just like maxed out on Mirroring Crusaders. I really wanted to run a Brightling. I really, really did, because I think the card's very good. It's very good against Red Prison. It's very good against Eldrazi. It's insane against Miracles. But I just thought it was not correct to, given the anticipated field. So you will 100% see me playing Brightlings again. I just thought it was wrong for this exact weekend with, like, the pairings that I was getting on Moto in my expected field. And then I finally conceded and like decided to play the Palace Jailer for the weekend. There was a lot of Shadow, and by a lot of Shadow, I mean I think I played against it like 13 times between the bannings and GP Richmond, and most of that was in the time after the Pro Tour through GP Richmond. So I think I had played against it like twice before that, and then Shadow was just everywhere. So I really wanted a Palace Jailer in that matchup, and I figured if I was going to do it, I might as well throw it in the main deck. It got sideboarded out a whole lot, but it was pretty powerful. Most of the sideboard's pretty stock. The things I want to talk about are in the second column here. Since I went up to playing the third Recruiter, I decided, all right, I'm going to go ahead and play one Fairy and one Surgical as a split, just to like give me those slightly better odds versus Red-Black Reanimator. It's a like both of these cards aren't really very good right now. It's kind of like you sort of need to play like some amount of Graveyard Hate still, because like the matchup where you need it, it's very, very important to have it. But it's not. They aren't stellar cards. They were my least frequently boarded in cards over the course of my playtesting, but I still wanted them. Next up is the Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista has a lot of the same functionality as Sword of War and Peace does. They're more or less good in the same sorts of matchups and in the same places. And I decided to go for Walking Ballista over Sword of War and Peace to sort of differentiate what my tutors could get. So in a lot of situations, like getting a Jitte, getting a Sword of War and Peace, like those are both very, very good in the mirror, right? Whereas with Recruiter, if I add this Walking Ballista to my deck, I give myself a new angle of attack, and this is one that a lot of people aren't really ready for and used to yet. So it was very good. So this is primarily for the mirror. It was also very good against Grixis control because it just like cleaned up like Baleful Strix and Snapcaster Mages, and it actually made it pretty hard for them to win. And this thing was usually about a 3-for-1 when I was casting it against Grixis control. Because like they might have to like point a removal spell at it and then you ping 2 of their idiots or something like that. And then there's the Chalice of the Void. So normally in the stock D&T lists, this is where you'll go and see something like Aethersworn Canonist, but I thought that card was pretty much hot garbage. I was very, very disappointed with it in testing after the bannings, and I was just almost never bringing it in. So I started trying other things in those slots. And in the days leading up to the event, most of my like different iterations of the deck, the 2 things that I was swapping out is in that slot, it was either Spirit of the Labyrinth or Chalice of the Void. Essentially, as far as my sideboarding goes, I wanted something that was very good against both combo decks and miracles. Because that's where I needed my in-out numbers. I needed cards that could overlap in those situations to make all my in-out numbers work for my various matchups. So Spirit of the Labyrinth was really good in testing. But then people started playing like more and more Dread of Nights and stuff, and I got kind of nervous about that. I just didn't really want to play another X1, especially in the sideboard, and so I settled on Chalice of the Void. Now, I do not regret this decision, and I think the decision was correct. However, GP Richmond was the fairest GP that I have ever played. I might even say, like, the fairest Magic event that I have ever played. Over the course of my entire event, I did not play a single, like, dedicated combo deck. Not one. Like, you can kind of say that Lands has a combo element. You can kind of consider Burn to be a combo deck in the weird, like, it's a 7-card combo deck. Cast 7 random spells and you win. But, like, really, there's no show and tell. No Ant. No Tess. No Elves. Not a single dedicated combo deck over the course of the event. Almost everything I played was sort of, like, mid-rangey in some way. And looking at what I faced, like, boy, was my decision to play 3 Mirror Crusaders a good decision over the course of the weekend. Because I played against, I think, Grixis Control 3 times in day 2. 1, 2, 3. And I think I played against Grixis Delver like 3 or 4 times. 1, 2, yeah, 3 times. So those Crusader boys, they were a good choice. So overall, I ended up 10-4-1, which was good for 59th place. I'm a little disappointed with that finish, if I'm being completely honest. I expected to finish better, but something happened right here. So I'm going to explain the exact situation that happened. But long story short, I got a draw and ended up in the draw bracket. And the draw bracket in day 2 was not kind to me. Oop. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so once I got into the draw bracket on day 2, I played against Grixis Control, Grixis Control, Grixis Control, Lands, Miracles. And that's not necessarily what I wanted to be paired against. Like, my day 1 pairings had been, like, much more reasonable in the sorts of things that I wanted to see. But once I got a draw, I just kept playing against, like, control players, and often control players who played slowly, which was kind of unfortunate for me. Like, the Grixis Control matchup was, like, the only matchup that I was not super comfortable with. I'm certainly not favored in it. It's very difficult. That was the one thing I was kind of hoping to dodge. Like, if I got paired against it, like, once or twice over the course of the GP, like, so be it. I could probably go 1-1 against it. But getting paired against it 3 times was a little bit rough. So as a whole, I think I played pretty well in GP Richmond. I made one bad mistake over the course of the tournament. It was right here. It was right here. Last game, last turn, I made an error. I'll talk about it later. Um, and that resulted me going into the draw bracket, which I think hurt my numbers overall. Like, I still don't mind. Like, I still got a couple of pro points for my finish. I still got $250 for my finish. That's all great. But I think I could have done better. The field was very, very good for D&T. There were a lot of good D&T players live in day two. I think Louis Fata, Antiquated Notion on the source and MTG Salvation. I think he ended up like X5, and I think he missed cash, but he was doing very well earlier on in the event. So to talk about the Grixis Control matchup just for like one more minute, I'm very happy with every matchup except that one, and I'm okay with that because I'm not willing to change my deck at all in order to beat it, I don't think. So if I wanted to make that matchup better, I would change my Gideons into Cataclysm. Oh, XJ Cloud, thank you very much for hosting. I would change my Gideons into Cataclysms, but I don't think that's a wise choice as a whole, because Cataclysm right now is basically only good against Miracles and Grixis Control, and these cards are, these Gideons are still pretty good there, and I don't want to get rid of the Gideons because they're so important to the Death Shadow matchup. Varish, we're talking about Grixis Control. So, like, looking at what I've got for, like, Miracles, this is a good pile of cards to bring in for Miracles. Like, the matchup's still going to be, like, tough. It's still going to be very skill-intensive. But I'm fine with Miracles. Grixis Control, that one's a beating. Snapples, just kind of, like, thinking about the event was very fair. I didn't play against a single combo deck the entire time that I was there. So, like, conceptually, I like the Chalices because they've got, like, really good overlap for, like, Ant, Show and Tell, Miracles. But I didn't board them in. Like, I didn't board in the Chalice until round 15 when I got paired against Miracles. Advan, Remorseful Cleric is a great card. It's an awesome tutor target, but I don't think this is the time for it. All of the unfair graveyard stuff that was, like, dominating the metagame right after the bannings, that's died out, right? Like, there's way less Dredge, there's way less Black-Red Reanimator. So Remorseful Cleric is certainly going to, like, come back as a flex slot at some point. But I think right now in the Dread of Night world, it's not the best time to be running it. Alright, so that's kind of like the short version of my debrief. I'm gonna, like, write up an article that has some of my other thoughts about the format and, like, some specific interactions and scenarios from the event. But I didn't want to linger too much. I just kind of wanted to do a little bit of a debrief and then go and play some Magic. But I'm going to give you, like, 1 minute here, chat. If there's any specific questions that you want to ask about the event or the deck list, feel free to ask them now. So Lord Darkview, here's the thing about, like, Chalice and the Lands matchup. You go and you put Chalice on 2, but you still have a bunch of, like, really decent 2-drops, especially, like, your Rest in Peace that's coming in out of the board. So I don't know about that. Phil, not a question. Just wanted to vent, but I have to play around Chalice versus you now. Potentia, I think Basic Plains is better than Cavernous Souls right now. By a lot. What are your thoughts on Avenger right now? Louis Fata played a list that was only 1 or 2 cards off from mine, I think the only main deck difference between our lists was that he had one Avenger where I had this Crusader. The Avenger is fine. It's very good in the mirror. It's pretty good versus Shadow. But Crusader swings some matchups by huge percentages, and Avenger just does things. It's a very good card. It's very aggressive off of Vial. But I didn't view Avenger as necessary for any matchups, and that's why I opted for more Crusaders. Is there a world where I'd play a 4th Crusader? I've been to that world before. I don't think we're there right now. Like, in order for me to want to play the 4th Crusader, we have to get, like, less lightning bolty than we are right now. Like, all the decks are Grixis, so they have, like, access to lightning bolt. If we move to, like, bug colors or just, like, blue-black all the time, then sure, maybe I play the 4th Crusader. Ah, so Farish, you wanna support me? Hold that thought for like 30 seconds. I want to talk about that. XJ Cloud, yeah, that's kind of my thought. If the Grixis and other black decks are going to be a order of magnitude more of the metagame share than Miracles, then I want more of these bad boys. Like, I love, love, love Brightling, but I couldn't justify it for the weekend. So, Master, you can hardly notice the difference between the 23 and 24 land builds if you're just playing a little bit, but when you play a lot, I think the 24th land builds just feel a little bit smoother. I rarely feel like I'm flooding out in the grand scheme of things. Like, sometimes there's, like, micro moments where I have too many lands or whatever, but that would always be the case. And I just feel like with playing as many 3-drops as I am and, like, sneaking the Jailer in here, like, these Judgments, these Gideons, I feel like the 24th land is correct. What's the utility of Ballista versus Miracles? Well, it kills them, it kills Jace, and it's just kind of a pain to remove, because if you point a removal spell at it, you just, like, still nug them to the face for a little bit. So, it's just useful. Yeah, so, like, a lot of times Miracle stabilizes at, like, literally 1 or 2 life, and they think they're safe, and they just, like, Jace, tap out, Fate Seal you, and then you Ballista them, and they die. It's great. Okay, so there was a donation question. I actually want to field that now. So I got this this support from Cardboard Live, whose extension you can see on the screen with the deck list extension, and I love 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 it. And I also want to kind of like change some of my donation goals. Sort of in the past, I've been doing it as my follower count ticks up, and I want to change that a little bit. As the stream goal grows and like hits some big numbers, I'll still do some things, but I kind of wanted to like give people more for doing the donation deck list because I really appreciate it and it helps to support me quite a bit. So now what I'm going to do is for every 3 donation deck lists that I get, I'm going to do something special for you all. So I've placed some new donation goals below the stream here. So beginning now, when I hit my 3rd donation deck list, I'm going to play something fun for you all. I've had this brewed up for a while in my mind, and I've been wanting to try it out. But once I get 3 donation deck lists, in addition to doing those streams, I'm going to do a stream with a 4 Mangara, 4 Ensnaring Bridge build of D&T. Just for the giggles. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I've got some ideas there that I've been wanting to try out. Then, when I hit a total of 6 donation deck lists, I'm going to do a guest stream. And so I've already talked with Nick Miller, you know, of SCG coverage fame. And when I hit 6 deck lists, he's going to do an Infect stream with me and kind of walk me through some of the interactions there. And then when I go and hit 9 deck lists, a lot of you have been, like, clamoring for the return of Mono Black Control, and, like, I'm not kidding when I say this, but I've gotten probably somewhere around 10 different messages asking me for an updated post-ban mono black control list so that people can go and bring it to their weeklies. And I guess I've got to do that. The people want it. Yes, Chad, and absolutely. You can yell at Nick Miller about deck names while you're here. I do it all the time. Nick's great. He was in my hotel room this weekend. He had a round 1 feature match on sorry, not on, at the GP. If you want to see him play, it's a nail biter. Let's put it that way. Well, won't spoil it for you, but it's scary. Yeah, so for each, there's there's two different ways to support me right now. If you want to just kind of do something, one time or every once in a while, the donation deck lists are absolutely awesome and very useful for me and very entertaining for everyone involved. And now those donation deck lists also work towards something. And sorry, Master's comment in the chat just is like killing me. Last question. If I pay to donate $108, can we just get the mono black stream right now? Yes, absolutely, of course. I sell out for $108, don't you? I had some other thought here. So just kind of retracing my thoughts. Nick Miller was in my hotel room this weekend. We had a great time, as well as Zach Koch and one of his friends, Stefan, who's from New York. We had an awesome time at this GP. This GP was a lot of fun. It was very, very fair. Lots of good Magic was played, and I'm really looking forward to watching some of the coverage later on this week. So now, Super Secret Tech number 1. Phil has the power to change what appears on the Cardboard Live extension. At least he's pretty sure. So, I think in a couple of seconds we should get this updated with my 5-color humans one. I've never tried, so this is my first stream using Cardboard Live. So I do need to see, all right, so it says active death and taxes. Oh, I need to hit the save button. All right, so active 5-color humans. There we go. So Connor, $12 is my price. $12 I stream with the deck list of your choice. Okay, and I missed one of them, but thank you to those of you who just subscribed. I appreciate your support. It does mean quite a bit to me. I'm really able to do what I am because of both you all and my sponsors. And obligatory thanks to Card Hoarder here. They let me borrow all of these sweet cards so that I don't have to buy them. Yeah, so Farish, you can use the emote that you just got on any channel. You can type Death A for Thalia to go and do it, or you can always just search your emotes and search Thalia, and it'll come up that way as well. So if you're going and saying watching something on Julian's channel and you're watching the Legacy Premier League, you can use this there as well. And XJ Cloud, thank you very much for your support. I really do appreciate it. All right. So chat, here's 5-color humans. I've been really having fun with this. Lomer Boy, thank you very much for resubbing as well. Man, we got a good old-fashioned subtrain going on. I need to, like, do some sort of, like, cheesy woo-woo to, like, keep it going or something. I think that's how that works. So, I've really been having fun with this deck list. One of the things I promised myself was that after the GP, I would go and really try to put some work into this archetype, because I thought it was actually really good going into the GP, but I didn't have time to test it properly, and I wouldn't consider it over D&T for that event. Palladium and Rec42, thank you very much for your continued support, and Moxall for the bits. Oh man, doing that race with Army of Thalia, as is the usual. So this is a deck list I got from Eddie, who has been putting a lot of work into the archetype. I want to get his last name right. I know it starts with a Z. Eddie Zamora. And he's shipped me a handful of deck lists. This is one of his deck lists that I've only changed 1 or 2 cards in. Oh man, and did we get a donation as well? Ooh, buddy. Well, I'm just gonna see what this donation deck list is real quick, chat. Oh my god. Alright, I need to drag this over. Come on, get over there. Get over there. Look at this, chat. Look at this thing of beauty right here. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. This is beautiful. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Holy cow. Oh my gosh, I just looked at the sideboard too. There's like Doretti's. This is Thursday night, folks. This is Thursday night. Oh man. I'm excited. Alright. Thank you very much for that donation. That is gonna be some quality legacy content right there. I'm looking forward to that. So, here's tonight's deck list. So, for anyone not familiar with modern 5-color humans, this is essentially the legacy port of it. You're trying to use a handful of disruptive creatures backed by some mana acceleration or other ways to cheat your creatures in play. And there's going to be a handful of cards here that you don't necessarily know, like Reflector Mage, Legacy All-Star. You get to bounce a creature that your opponents control, and they can't cast that creature during their next turn. Otherwise, most of the stuff here you probably recognize. This deck gets to run a couple of, like, really killer silver bullets. Palace Jailer and Orzhov Pontiff in the main deck, and then in the sideboard, like, Containment Priest, War Priest of Thune, Sanctum Prelate, Izzet Staticaster, Pontiff, Manic Vandal, Fairy. Like, it's really powerful. So, Goblin Lackey, the reason for Imperial Recruiter is twofold. It's both Reflector Mage and the Izzet Staticaster out of the sideboard. So this deck list is actually, like, really good. So on my day off, I actually dicked around with this pretty much the entire day. I did I did a 4-1 league, and then I did a 4-1 league with a little asterisk by it. It was actually a 3-1, and then one match I couldn't finish because I found a bug so heinous that I literally could not finish my match. It involved Teferi's Realm. That card's very broken on Magic Online in multiple different ways. It's not acceptable. and then I got 1, 2, 3. So I'm effectively 10-5 with the deck list currently, which is pretty solid. Rather than like theory craft a whole bunch about this deck list, I'm just gonna like jump into matches and I'm just gonna start playing because I'm having so much fun doing so. And so I'm already 2-1 in this league. I beat Black Red Reanimator. My opponent made a turn 1 Iona in game 1. That was good. In turn 2, they made an Archetype of Endurance, but I killed them through it. And then in game 3, I had a Fairy, and they conceded. So that was great. Well, in 2017, my opponent played Painter, but who knows what that means now. Alright, what does my hand do? My hand goes Caracas into Champion of the Parish and then can't do anything else. And I'm on the draw, so this is a mulligan. This hand's very good. And that land can go to the top. So, Master, I'm very willing to play some bad deck lists for the sake of some entertainment. That's fine with me. Okay, so I have a choice here. I can either play Horizon Canopy and Aether Vial, or I can play like Ancient Ziggurat or Unclaimed Territory and Noble Hierarch. I'm gonna play the Aether Vial now because it's like just a better long-term play. But there is some argument to just like play the Hierarch here. It's not as clear-cut as in D&T, where it's like, oh, you like always play the Aether Vial first. Here, that's not necessarily true. Oh man, maybe my opponent is still just playing Painter. Yeah, they are still just playing Painter. So I kind of want to name Grindstone with this. I guess I should just do that now. My opponent goes, if I play Thalia, my opponent can go Grindstone, land, pay, activate, kill me. So I guess I should just do this. But if my opponent doesn't just naturally... my opponent could also just Enlighten Tutor for it. Yeah, I guess I'm obligated to do this. The issue is that if I have a Blast, it's like super, super bad for me. Yeah, I'm all sorts of nervous. So now if my opponent has a Blast, I am dead. Yup. Womp, 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 womp. Bow. Alright. Well, my opponent's hand was the nuts. That was not to be beaten under any circumstances. Alright. So playing against Painter, and we lost. So game 1, loss. Turn 2 to natural combo with blast backup. Alright. So, what all do I want? I want the Recruiter. I want these Manic Vandals. These are cards, I guess, not very. These are cards I guess I could consider. I should probably start by thinking about what's bad. Pontiff isn't really great. Reflector Mage is pretty medium. My opponent probably doesn't have that many creatures, so Palace Jailer's fine. I don't know that I'm really going to want to tick my Vial up to 4, though. Crusader's pretty medium. I kind of want to be able to dismember Painter Servant. Sanctum Prelate's okay. Like, putting it on 1 is a relatively large hindrance. But then I'm getting to the point where I'm sideboarding, like, a ton of things. I think I'd be comfortable going down to 1 Reflector Mage. I'll just, like, leave myself with 1 so I can bounce a Painter. I can, like, trim a Lieutenant, maybe 2. Alright, maybe I just want 1 of those as a tutor target. When I'm on the play, the second one of these is probably pretty good. And I'll just trim one of those guys. So this is not an acceptable hand. However, if I can scry a 2-drop play, this hand becomes acceptable. So I think I have to keep this. Going to 5 can put me in the situation where I'm really in trouble, so I'm going to keep this and just really hope to scry something good. That Recruiter is going to go to the bottom. We're going to try to hit something I can play next turn. Looter Scooter. Okay, that was a great draw. Yep. Well, the world is my oyster. Let's figure out what I'm doing. My hand is hot garbage. This might just be the time to get Palace Jailer. And draw out of it. My opponent may be able to, like, go and take the crown back occasionally with Smuggler's Copter, but I don't think they will be able to hold it. Nerf Blaster, thank you very much for your support. That is certainly an awkward play versus my Palace Jailer. Because on their next turn, they can, like, play Painter and then attack in with Smuggler's Copter. This is the Imperial Recruiter mirror, and my opponent has better looking recruiters than I do. So this is rough. No, I have to exile an opposing creature. I can't like tag one of my own. So Red Panda, if I've gotten Vandal, like I blow this up, then what? Like what comes after that? I'm fine with this game being a little bit awkward. I think if we both draw extra cards, I'm gonna end up coming out ahead because I have a bunch of like really sweet targets. Like my opponent drawing and playing exactly Imperial Recruiter made it super awkward because they get a huge amount of value here from this. But sans that play, I like Jailer a lot. Ooh, the trigger's blue. Everything's blue. Oh god, please counter it. Oh, Enlightened Tutor. Alright, you go and get that Grindstone. So I'm gonna Meddling Mage it. Now I'll become the Monarch. I get to draw an extra card. Then on their turn, they'll get to be the monarch, and they'll get to draw an extra card, and blah, 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 blah. I'd love a Mother of Runes so that, like, all my random stuff can't just get blasted and die. I'd also love for my opponent to, like, have to get rid of their City of Traders. That'd also be pretty good for me. El Jefe, I am using what is called Cardboard Live. I highly recommend it. They are one of my new sponsors, but that's not the only reason that I'm saying it. I've really loved this extension. We've been using it for the Legacy Premier League, and I adore it. The Monarch emblem, though, is not blue. Yeah, I think it is a strict upgrade to Stream Decker. It has a lot of other cool functionality as well. So you can use this for like tournaments too. So when you're doing a tournament with it, you like you can have two different versions of that extension up at the same time. One for each deck list. It can also have things like pairings and player bios and stuff too. It's neat. What is this you're doing in your end step? Pyroblast my Meddling Mage. Sure. Alright. Dismember is gonna hurt. It's gonna put me to 4 life, and that Smuggler's Copter is like almost at the point where it's gonna kill me. I think I want to start by drawing a card. Because drawing something like a Reflector Mage here to just like bounce this and then crash in would be pretty okay. Okay, so I pay 4 life, dismember the Painter's Servant, crash in with everything. Yeah, this feels pretty abysmal. So on the off chance that my opponent has another creature, I can't actually attack in with everything, or I die. So I'm just going to attack in with these two. Alright. So I would have died if I attacked with everything, so that's good. So now I'm going to need something that gets rid of the copter, I guess. Oh yeah, I didn't play any creatures last turn, so I didn't have the opportunity to cast Ancient Zig or to like use Ancient Ziggurat at all. El Jefe, this version is not running the images. Oh man, please like tap that Ancient Tomb and do some shit, and then like, it's gonna say like, give me the opportunity to just like kill you if I draw Thalia's Lieutenant. That'd be cool. Okay, so I can get a redraw with Horizon Canopy. Okay. So, what can I draw that I can vial in at 2 to do anything? Freebooter. I can draw Freebooter to block the Smuggler's Copter. So that's my out. I'm dead if my opponent has a blast. Oh my gosh, does my opponent have double Simian Spirit Guide to just go off here? Uh... Uh... Okay. So again, if he has another creature, I have to leave... Or no, the Manic Vandal's going to be back, so I can attack in with these two. Come on, Freebooter, one time. I mean, we were sub 10% chance to draw that, so like it's fine. See if my opponent clicks through attacks. They did not. I mean, this function is temporarily disabled. Thanks, Moto. Alright, so that's a loss. So game 2, loss to Smuggler's Copter. Yeah, with every update, new things break somehow. It's okay. But how long has Teferi's Realm been around for? I'm a little salty about that one because like I lost my 5-0 with humans to that. Otherwise, I had a 5-0 with this deck list. Salt, 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 salt. Our hand's great. And he responds, "Oh shit, hi." So I impaired against Mark Koenig, one of the best D&T pilots in the world. Although it's possible that he's not playing D&T and that he's also playing some weird offshoot of D&T. So this will probably be pretty entertaining. Yes, this is probably not D&T with Swamp and Cabal Therapy and Polluted Delta. No. Let me play it out. I'm fine with just playing it out. I'll figure out what he's on in another turn or two. I'll probably get to figure out what he's on exactly right now. Alright, so my opponent's playing some sort of sweet, like, Esper, Cabal Therapy, Baleful Strix, probably Hallowed Spirit Keeper bullshit deck. Pretty sure I'm supposed to push a point of damage with this mom right here. All I'm saying is that my Izzet Staticaster and Orzhov Pontiffs in the sideboard are going to be good against what my opponent's doing. Feel pretty good about that assumption. This Reflector Mage is going to be terrible against my opponent's entire deck. Ooh, buddy! Alright, so you remember when I said the bullshit part? There it is. There it is. Well, I don't think I beat that. Alright, so Hollow Spirit Keeper may or may not be in this deck. Alright, does Surgical Extraction work on Arena Rector? Arena Rector. It does. Alright, so I can surgically extract Arena Rector in order to stop that shenanigans. I may do so. Alright, so what do I want? I probably want this Recruiter. I probably want these. I probably want these. Sanctum Prelate is a maybe. We'll see how many things I have to take out. So I don't want Reflector Mages. I probably don't want Palace Jailer against, like, the disposable Snapcaster and Baleful Strix deck. And I often end up, like, trimming a Lieutenant. This is pretty good on one. It's going to stop, like, Brainstorm, Ponder, Swords to Plowshares Therapy. Yeah, this is good enough to be in. Even though it shuts off my Surgical. So let's trim a little bit more of that. Actually, Crusader's pretty medium. I'd rather have another Lieutenant, I think. Start by converting mana cost, see how that makes it. This is fine. Alright, so I go land, Hierarch, then I go Freebooter into Freebooter. Okay. There's very high upside if I draw a land too, which is why I think I'm fine with keeping this hand. Alright. God, my opponent's hand is insane. Holy cow. So whatever my opponent wants to hide from me is actually on top of their library. So their best card is probably on top of their library. Does that mean I actually just want to surgically extract Swords to Plowshares right here? No. I'm going to take Swords to Plowshares and I'm going to surgically extract Brainstorm. That's just better. I can't. So I could Mom plus Freebooter, but my opponent only has one unknown card. Or no. I guess I have two unknown cards. So I'm going to take the Ponder, and then I can name Jace with Meddling Mage later. Don't want to lose any of these creatures yet. I'll start attacking next turn when Mom's around. My opponent says, could use a brainstorm here. Alright, that's unfortunate. Now my opponent gets their freebooted cards back. Night, Master. Have fun. Okay, my opponent has Teferi and Jace. That's fine. We can stop here. Hey, you just destroyed me brutally. Not close. This deck list is great, though. It's a lot of fun. So going into this league, I was 10-5 with it. I think like the archetype has a decent amount of potential. No, you're probably right. Like if I was concentrating fully on that match and like I analyzed your deck list more closely, I probably would have done that. But you know, I'm streaming, so it is what it is. I still don't think I would even beat you in a game 3 though. Like you've got so much removal plus like the planeswalker top end, and I can't interact with planeswalkers other than just by killing them. So I feel like you're probably very favored, even if we like get to another game. I mean, I would never accuse you of stream sniping. Like, I have the utmost level of respect for you. Twitch chat can say what Twitch chat wants to say though. But like, I would 100% understand you like naming surgical if on the same turn you get to go like Cabal Therapy into Rector and like I'm tapped out or something like that. Like it 100% makes sense. Twitch chat says Barbara is the closest thing to a living god we have. All right. Well, I'm going to keep my hand. My opponent's mulligan down a bunch. And we'll see what they do. I mean, come on. What else are you going to name against me in the dark? Like, you're going to name Vile. It was pretty funny that, like, I was playing a different deck, and Vile was just the overlap card. Can feel it. I can feel it coming. Okay, so I can just Meddling Mage something in the dark here, or I can just Freebooter, and if they have Glimpse or Natural Order, I get either one. I could also just, like, Meddling Mage Wirewood Symbiote here, because that's the card that would, like, best hedge against the Pontiff. Sort of like Freebooter. Whiff. my opponent's hand is bad, so that's fine with me. So I don't actually really care about either one of the cards in my opponent's hand. I feel like the way that I'm going to lose this one is to a top deck natural order. So I'm going to go ahead and name that. I expect fetch for Dryad Arbor. There's nothing here that I care about yet. Quarian Ranger can pick up the Dryad Arbor. My opponent has to draw insanely well to kill me. Well, that helps. I'm a little confused. I think my opponent had enough mana to kill me there. That's really frustrating. I'm not actually sure if I want Dismember. Like, Champion of the Parish is pretty bad. Like, it gets walled pretty easily. So I think I will take these Dismembers. So what does this hand do? This is turn 4 Orzhov Pontiff with low-level disruption on turn 2. Ugh. Repso, thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate it. I'm just grumpy because of this mulligan situation. So the reason why I'm not conceding is I did win a mull to 3 earlier. And a top deck like Pontiff or Staticaster could be pretty insane. But I think my opponent's just going to like glimpse this turn and hopefully put me out of my misery. Alright, so I got this sweet mother of runes that can attack. So that's nice. Yes, I am so far behind that I will trade my mom for your land. Alright, so now I get to play, like, the awkward... I telegraph to my opponent which hate angle I'm going to take. I'm going to take Is It Staticaster. And now my opponent knows about that, which is a little bit annoying. But, like, any like, one of the lines I take, like Containment Priest, or Prelate, or Pontiff, or Staticaster, they can all be played around to some extent. I feel like Staticaster is, like, one of the most annoying things I could possibly do. Alright, opponent, if you have another decay, I accept you having another decay. See, opponent, I see what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get me to tap this Izzet Staticaster here, and then do the Pendelhaven shenanigans. So instead, fuck that. Oh, man, Birchlord is like a super good draw. Because I was going to be able to, like, dismantle this engine here a little bit, but not anymore. Still think I probably need to take the opportunity to now. I'll get one Heritage Druid. I'll cut them off of some degree of mana. I mean, opponent's hand after the glimpse has to be, like, absolutely terrible in order for me to get anywhere. Rough. Sorry, I was just thinking through the, like, dismember Izzet Staticaster play. Like, conceptually, I liked getting rid of the Dryad Arbor immediately to, like, 100% take them off of that mana. Because if I just get rid of it, not only am I like getting rid of one of their lands, but I'm also decreasing the amount of mana that they can make from a Gaia's Cradle by 1, which can matter quite a bit. So I don't know that like what I did was correct. But I don't mind it. So I'm going to keep my hand, and we're going to have some interesting things. Never mind. So my opponent is playing Black-Red Reanimator. That's very, very clear. So I can either throw away my Vial or throw away my Hierarch. I think I want to throw away my Vial with the plan of casting Hierarch and Wastelanding on my next turn. This will also let me look like D&T in case my opponent just, like, goes off and does their thing. I can concede before they know I'm humans. Yep, I need to go to bed, apparently. I'm just playing like crap. So I was about to say, I really don't want my opponent to draw a land, because if they draw a land, they can Faithless Looting and dump both of their creatures. I got shot the Bob. So I guess I should start with Kite Sail Freebooter. If my opponent doesn't have multiple reanimation spells, this will just win. If my opponent does have multiple reanimation spells, I probably just need to crack my Horizon Canopy at their end step in order to try to draw into a Reflector Mage and bounce whatever creature they play. I'm going to hit my opponent to 7 this turn. If I play Freebooter, I will not have lethal next turn. I would have lethal if I draw a Pontiff. If I play Champion first, what happens? If I play Champion first, then Freebooter. This will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not lethal anyway, but lethal if I draw any creature. That's tricky. I'll do it this way. It will give my opponent less time to draw out. Alright, and it doesn't matter, they only have 1 reanimation spell. Alright, I threw away a card there that I did not need to throw away, but I won anyway. Alright, so humans versus Black-Red Reanimator, we win. So it's game 1 win with Freebooters. Alright, what do I want? I want Surgical, I want Priest, Prelate, not Dismember, I want Fairy and Recruiter. I don't want Pontiff. Crusader's not really necessary. I'll be trimming on a good number of these beaters. So if I draw a land, this is turn 3 Graveyard Hate, but I'm probably dead by then, so I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this one, try to find something that can interact on turn 2, like this one. This still may be too slow, and I still might die. But, like, the Thalia hands can punish a lot of hands pretty easily. Why didn't you play a real deck like this at the GP, Phil? I don't know. Guess I was still too busy winning. A bunch of people in my group are talking about switching to Death Shadow Delver. Is Absolute Grace too cute to add to the sideboard? Absolute Grace is something that I have my eye on as well. I haven't tested it yet. I imagine it's not good enough, but I don't know for sure that it's not. I don't know that the fetch to thin there is necessary. Alright, Caracas off the top would be pretty baller. Otherwise, my next two draws could be land and Reflector Mage. Or we could just end it here. Alright, Caracas off the top, though. Two out of, what is that going to be, 52? It's like a 1 out of 26 chance. Yep, this is indeed quite scary. But if I draw Caracas right here, it was not Caracas. So I'll take 13. I guess technically I could draw Caracas on this turn. And just be beaten and bloody. But I think my opponent putting two legendary creatures into play was super loose. See, if you have that, why don't you just go for that as your second creature? That seems insane. Alright, so we lost that one. So game 2, lost to G-Brand, into Aleshnorn, into Magus. I don't really think I can play around Magus, so I'm just going to whack submit again. There's not really a point in like bringing in Dismember for that. Like, if my opponent Maguses me, they Magus me. There's probably only one or two of them. They're going to be very good. But I don't think I can afford to dilute my deck at all. One land Aether Vial with Surgical Extraction. Deal. So all we have to do is find a way to cheat on Moto, and we got this. Exactly. No, Lord Darky, this deck cannot afford a third Caracas, nor does it want a third Caracas. Double Chancellor? Fuck. Alright. So that means if I'm going to want to surgical at all this game, I need to throw away this Aether Vial. This vial would cost me 3 mana. It's not going to resolve. Alright. I think throwing this is better. Like throwing this vial away is better, and hoping to go and like top deck a land so I can start playing Magic. I think that's better than just like holding out forever trying to like get into lands. Unmask targeting me. Opponent's hand sucks. Unfortunately, mine does too. Alright, so what kind of cool stuff do they have? They have Archetype of Endurance, Ashen Rider, Magus, 2 Magus. Okay. Yeah, so last game, opponent like 100% could have done something better than a Leshnorn. Alright, super rewarded for the play of throwing away the Ether Vial. Opponent can't even flash back their Faithless Looting now, which is sweet. God, did they really just like top deck a Magus here? Oh no, God, are they just looting? Wow. Alright, well, alright, there's a Grizzlebrand in the graveyard. How many Reanimates do they play? 4? 4 Reanimates. Reanimate is what they could cast next turn, most reasonably. So I should probably name that with the first one. So they have 4 animate deads and 4 exhumes. Are any of those in the graveyard currently? No, neither is in the graveyard currently. I guess I will shut off exhume. Because if it's animate dead, it comes back with 1 less power, and that could be relevant. Like a master. Sure, but if I miss the land drop for the Palace Jailer, then I think the Grizzlebrand having 1 less power matters quite a bit, right? Because then, like, the draw 7 loops get different. Because Grizzlebrand doesn't hit back for 7 every time, it only hits back for 6. And that might, like, change combat math. And so I think, given how much power I already have on board, I think the 1 point of power off of Grizzlebrand is likely more relevant than the body of Champion of the Parish in the face of a Grizzlebrand. I believe that's correct. Not 100%, but I think so. It's close. Okay, so I did not... Alright, I gotta update my spreadsheet. I gotta be consistent. Okay, so I'm obviously pretty tired right now. I've been playing like a lot of Moto today. My earlier leagues went much better than these ones. So I went 4-1, 4-1 earlier. And my last 2 leagues were both 2-3s. I think the deck's pretty good. I have a lot of testing that I want to do with this. There are some other things that I think can be slotted into the deck, and there are a lot of different builds running around. So, like, I want to test a Mare of Averbrook build that has Mutavaults. I want to test a build that's closer to mono white, so that you can like actually get a couple of planes into the deck list, so you're not just like stone cold dead to things like Blood Moon, Price of Progress, Back to Basics, and so forth. I want to test the Phantasmal Image build. There's a lot of variation that can be built on this core. I think this core is very good, but I'm not entirely convinced that enough work is currently being put into this to reach an optimal deck list. And so I want to sort of do my due diligence towards making this a little bit better. I'm sure you've answered this already, but how do you beat Mono Red Prison? Moon is really good against this deck. I actually haven't played against Mono Red Prison, but I imagine that in order to win, you need either an Ether Vial or a Noble Hierarch in the first turn, or you're just soft. Like, the Chalice stops the Vial. If you don't have Cavern, the Chalice also stops Hierarch. So it seems a little rough. Like, you have some game in the sideboard with, like, the Manic Vandals to blow up some of the artifacts, the War Priests to blow up Blood Moons, but if you, you don't have a Vial on 2, then Blood Moon means you can't actually cast this, and it's just, all sorts of bad. I don't think you can play 5-color humans if, something like Red Prison is one of the best decks. But Red Prison is, more or less dead right now, so I think that's fine. So this is almost identical to what I played last time around. I think I swapped a couple of sideboard cards, and that's about it. But sometime in the not-too-distant future, I'll go ahead and try out some other variations of this. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night here. I'm pretty tired. I'm not playing particularly well. It's been a long weekend with, my travel to and from GP Richmond and my playing there. So my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University. And good night, folks. You will see me again on Thursday playing a rather ridiculous red-black Death Shadow Burn deck thing. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll see you then.